Hey, what's up everyone, it's Roy. Welcome to SpecFreq Dev video number 16. In this video, I am going to show some updates to the game. And then after the updates, I want to talk about a new series of videos I'm about to do. I think they're going to be pretty cool. Um, so we'll get into it. The new other videos are going to be pretty nerdy, but I think it'll be worth it. Let's switch the camera here. All right, so um, let's start with some of the game updates I've been making lately. And so you guys know Desert Assault here, same old zone as before. Still in winter mode. I'll figure out when I want to take it out of winter mode. But I made a couple different updates to it. First off, check out the UI. So if you remember in my previous videos, there's a lot of like gray background here. Um, I got feedback from a lot of the folks that helped me test the game, which I would love to have you come test. So I'll put a little shout out here for my Discord team. Um, but the I just want to kind of make the UI a little bit more modern. I don't know if that's the right word. I'm not a UI guy. I just didn't like how like you couldn't see through it. I felt like it kind of left you at a disadvantage. So now you can kind of see through most everything. I think it looks a little bit cooler. So I don't know. It's kind of cool. Let me know what you think. First update. You notice how my player's walking? What are these little things behind them? Yeah, footsteps. And so certain classes don't have footsteps. So for example, let's switch to a sniper class. No, we don't do anything there. Not supposed to have footsteps. Did I mess that up? Dang it. Guess that's just coding. Sometimes you mess stuff up. I could have sworn I took footsteps off. Alright, in real time, let's figure out if I actually did it. So, okay, so I found the bug. This video is going to get a little bit more nerdy than I expected, but I thought maybe I could fix it in real time. So let's talk about what the actual bug is. When I updated the SpecFreq API, to allow you to create your own custom characters, which we'll talk about this in a little bit because it does say zombie character and there is a current zombie character in the game. Um, I made it so there was just a whole bunch of different character slots. Like here's character 5, here's character 4. And that way the zone designers could add their own characters to whatever slot they want. Here's character 6. But here's where I messed up. I left these first set of 5 characters to the built-in ones for the game. So you can see if I go to my code for, um, oh no, where is it? Oh, I just had it. Okay, if I go to the code for character 4, which is actually right here. So character 0, for example, is the infantry one. 1 is heavy, 2 is TACP, 3 is sniper. So in my head, I was like, all right, well, my sniper character has footsteps turned off. So why is it showing footsteps? So here's the problem. The sniper character that I thought I was creating in the game was character 4. But if I go to my zone editor, character 4, I'm sorry, if I go to client, character 4, engineer. Engineer. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to fix it in real time because I think for those that want a more technical video, you can see how I edit the API. And for those that don't want a more technical video, you can fast forward or you can follow along and just get nerdy with me. So here we are. So, all right, I opened the API project, separate project. You can see my little note to myself of don't build the project because we don't care for the SpecFreq API. I don't care about the actual Godot like UI. All I want is a DLL because that DLL is attached to the client. Um, And for those that don't know what a DLL is, think of it as just like a library with a whole bunch of stuff you can pull from for your code. That library shares a whole bunch of stuff between the client and the zone that folks create. And that way they don't need to see all the code for my game. They can only focus on or they only have to focus on the code for their zone. And my game will do all the stuff in the background. And the DLL just bridges the two together, right? And so in this case, if I go to the enumerations, um, so remember I mentioned that all the custom characters are from 0 to 6. I think what I'm actually going to do is just fix the character names. So I'll add a couple more slots here. And actually, let's look at which ones I have available. So really what I need is infantry, heavy, TACP. We'll just call that 41. Heavy equals 42. TACP equals, by the way, I really love these like there's AI like coding helpers here, it has made my life a lot easier. Sniper, you see how it's like kind of, well, now it's making a liar out of me. Engineer, 5, and then medic, it's 46. Okay, so to confirm I got the code right, 40, 41, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I added these more direct names for the built-in classes. Maybe I'll just call these built-in. Yep, got it. Also, I'm going to take a drink because I'm still recovering from pneumonia. 2 months out. Not ideal, guys. Not ideal. Okay, so all I did was add additional enumerations to the API. I call them built-in, so the other ones can stay custom. Now I just build this one. I'm going to pull the path of the export. All right, so I need to take this DLL that I created, including its XML, so I can get the documentation. And I need to paste it in a couple different spots. First is into my actual client itself, so I can reference it. And then second is in the different zones. So when you start making your own zones, um, I'll just make sure there's a way for you to get the updated DLL anytime I update it. Um, I just have to copy it across all my zones. So now, um, when I go to my desert zone, I should actually be able to go to here because so when you have a smaller project like the zone here, it actually just loads in the DLL in real time. I don't usually have to restart it. So I should be able to, there they are already, right? So these are the ones that I just added because it automatically read in the DLL. And I know that I want infantry to be for infantry, heavy to be for heavy. I should have done this from the beginning. This was a mistake on my part. Um, medic to be for medic. Engineer for engineer. And I'm going to show you why this is important in a second. Built in sniper for sniper. TACP for TACP. Okay. So the nice thing about this is I also, because I only updated the code and not anything in the actual scene for Godot, I also only really need the DLL for this zone. So I can just take that and I'm going to go into this export folder, custom zones. So this like whole export folder is where I stage all of my internal testing. So you can see there's exports for all different types of stuff here. And it's where I kind of test everything before I release to Steam or anything like that. So I just updated the Desert Zone DLL. I put that in the custom zones folder. I now need to go do the same for the client. But here's the fun part about the client. Because there's so much code in the client, I usually can't um, it doesn't automatically reload the whole DLL. So here's the easy way to see it. If I type, okay, that's dumb. Character types, dot, there's no built-ins, right? Kind of annoying. So the way to fix it, I'm gonna close this. I just have to reload it, essentially. It's silly. All right, so let's just reopen this. And now when I reopen it, it will very likely have the updated DLL parameters. So let's go in here, case, SpecFreq API, enums, and there's all the built-ins, right? So let's talk about what the actual problem was. Um, and actually, I want this to be a default, and I'll explain why in a sec. So the problem was because I didn't make these descriptive, I assumed that I'll just put out documentation saying what 0 through 5 are. Like 0 is infantry, 1 is heavy, 2 is TACP. But now in retrospect, if me, the coder of the game, totally forgot and messed it up, it is very likely that others are going to mess it up too. So I should have been more descriptive from the beginning. And what was happening was I had picked character 4 thinking it was a sniper when I was loading character 4 and the game was actually loading the engineer. So now that it's more descriptive, it will be a lot harder to mess up because you'll know that you want this built-in character that has all the other stuff kind of coming with it. Let me switch these over. Fun thing is now this is a bug in the game and I'll have to release an update on Steam to fix it. Okay. Why did I put this default here? Because let's say someone picks a built-in type that isn't there. So let's say you don't tell it that you have a custom model, and I'll explain what that means in a little bit. But you pick a character type that is not on this list. This is going to be null, and it's going to break everything. You can even see Visual Studio detected it. That's pretty impressive. And so if I just put default here, what that's going to tell the switch statement is if you pick something outside of these boundaries, just pick the default option. And the default option is built-in infantry. So this is an easy fix. I am going to rev the version number before I forget. I'm actually not going to rev the version number because that will make it so I can't do the rest of this video. I will just have to remember it and go do that later. So let's export this. This will, yep, I'm back in my export folder. And now I bet this will work. I'm going to drink a cup of water while I wait. All right, sweet. So the game's exported. I'm going to, oh, thank you. I'm going to now rerun the game. And now let's jump back into Desert Assault. And I bet when I pick the sniper class now, so we still see footsteps because I'm the generic infantry class, right? But let's switch to sniper. No more footsteps. All right, so cool. Fix the bug in real time. I will push that update to Steam a little bit later. And just before I jump out, I just gotta document what I do. I'm real big on keeping this change log here. Oopsie, yeah. What do you want to call this? Fixed custom character enums. All right. Sorry for the super boring video to kick us off, but important that you document. So, all right, we're back in the game. So, we left the UI. We talked about that earlier. I am going to switch to the TACP class, actually. Oh, yeah, that's one thing. I did fix the running animations. I think it looks kind of silly. I'm going to keep it for now until I figure out if it's something I really want to do. But one of the cooler things I've added. So the TACP class, you guys know that I wanted to make this class more like calling in support. So yeah, you can join the fight and you can shoot with the regular assortment of guns, but I want to be able to call in airstrikes. And so this is one of my favorite new things that I added. Let's jump into the zone here. The A10, in my opinion, is one of the coolest planes ever made. We have a cool gun. Let's build a plane around it. And so I wanted to add the ability for the player to call in an A10 to come support them. That's regular guns. And so now it's just like any other, like the sniper class, right? Where you can shoot far away, but if I pick like a spot right here, let me get out of the way. Just wait for it. There it is. Bam! Laying down cover fire. It's pretty cool, right? It's got a pretty good range. It does have a long reload time. And so if you are expecting to constantly do that, you're going to be pretty disappointed. Now the TACP also has the ability to call in the other airstrike, if you remember. So it's more of like a mortar strike. So I'll maybe buy one of them so I can show you. I think I put it in a previous video. But this one is more like, hey, drop a bunch of bombs over here, and you'll see them start falling in. There they are. And so it's kind of like my way of giving the TACP some more cool tactical things. All right. Other things since the last video, I'm just going down my list here. If you remember, the mech animations were broken. They are fixed now. So there's the mech walking. You see its face rotating. The other thing you see is, watch right here. It's guns. Oh, I drink water. All right, check out the guns on this mech. And so you see how they point down? That's a new thing, honestly, for all the vehicles in the game. Most of the vehicles, actually all the vehicles. Okay, had to do a tactical pause because the pneumonia, and I'm still coughing. But I'm good now. All right. So most of the vehicles in the game can only shoot straight. That's how well, I mean, they can only shoot at like the same level that the turret is at, but the mech needs to be able to shoot in front of it. And so notice as I move my mouse away and closer, the guns also aim down. Might be a little hard to see. But then also when you shoot, I want to go to something where I can actually shoot at it. So here's the building. We're shooting over the building. Not really helpful right now, right? But as I point this further down, was the bullets go in front of the mech and also like further out. So that way, if you have players running up against you, you have a chance to shoot them. But if they're like right on top of you, I mean, it's one of the downsides of the mech is it takes longer to turn around, and you gotta hope that they don't like get right behind you right now. So that's the mech animation. It's kind of cool. The other thing I want to point out is I did work on better bullet explosions. Let me switch my class to a heavy infantry. And we'll switch to the RPG because it has better animation. I'm still working on this, trying to make it better. But watch what happens when this thing explodes. Bam! I think they're fun animations. I'll keep working on it. I'm not the best when it comes to like animating and special effects. I think at some point I might have someone come in and help me of how to best like do these special effects so they look good. But I'm a long way from there. All right. The last thing I want to show you in the game before I talk about my next kind of set of videos is this zombie class. I'm gonna explain how I created this zombie class. So his name is Weird Zombie Guy. He has a zombie item. It's just called a slash. There he is. He looks kind of weird, right? He can also run, just like you would expect a zombie to run. But think of it as more like quick bursts to quick it after players. So not that different from the normal players, other than his tiny little well, his animation's weird. He's a totally different character. I actually just bought this 3D animation off a website. Um, but I think what's different is how I created him, right? So you saw me fix the bug earlier for all those built-in characters. As zone designers build their zones, I wanted to give them the ability to also create their own characters in the game. Oh, and you can also see Zombie Bro can go stealth as well. And so let's talk about how I get after that. And this is important because I want to talk about my upcoming set of videos. Using the API, I now zone designers now have the ability to create their own custom characters. This is why I had all those other slot types. Like this one took character slot 6, specifically because I wanted the zone designers to have the ability to create their characters and not restrict them to the built-in ones. So my first test character, all I did was go to a 3D website. I downloaded a model that came with a license I can use in the game. That model is this zombie model, and I can actually show you it here. Here's Desert Zone. Uh, where's the zombie model? There you go. Zombie model. Okay, so this is the model from the website. Um, Whatever. These graphics don't really matter much because I color them and change them up. Um, and then here's a zombie scene. And so by passing in all the right parameters to the API, nope, that's the wrong one. Oh, I am being ridiculous tonight. You can now create your own custom model and import it to the game. Now you're not bound to the built-in models. And so this opens up a lot of options for zone designers because you can do what I'm about to tell you I'm going to do for a new zone, and you can almost make it so it looks nothing like the regular SpecFreq game. This was, I think, one of the biggest strengths with the game Infantry that I used to play all the time, in that there was like a soccer zone, there was a spaceship zone, there was a bug hunt zone. There was all kinds of different zones on the same engine, and it made the game really interesting because you got tired of playing as a human and you want to do something a little different, you could. And I want to make sure I enabled that through this SpecFreq as well. And so, why is that important? Um, I'm gonna start creating some different videos over the next few months. Hopefully not months, because I think it can go faster. But what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna create a zone in real time. So I'm literally gonna go and I'll show you what I do. Fab.com. I like the 3D models they have on this website. And I'm just gonna search for like a spaceship pack. There's a bunch of cool ones. Space shooter asset pack. I don't know. I bet they have a spaceship. Let's see what this is. I'm really over this pneumonia. Like my throat just sucks. But okay, so maybe this one. I don't know if I want to spend that much money. But I'll find something cool. Ooh, fictional aircraft pack. Oh, this could be just fun. Just like a generic cartoon spaceship pack. This could actually be pretty fun. No, no, these are awesome. I want these. Heck yeah. Okay, I might just use these. I'll have to see. Um, Unreal Engine Marketplace license. What does that mean? Okay, I don't know what that license is, so I'll have to look and see. But anyway, long story short, I'm gonna find a spaceship pack on here. I'm gonna bring it into the game, and I'm gonna make a zone where you're just a bunch of spaceships fighting each other. For those old school infantry players, this will sound a lot like subspace, right? But the reason I want to do that is I want to use that to expose what API elements I still need to create. Um, for example, the first thing I think off the top of my head is, am I going to make it so you're a human that has to get into a spaceship vehicle? Or are you going to be a spaceship vehicle from the start? And the reason there's a difference there is the API doesn't currently give you the ability to generate your own vehicles. And so that might be something I have to add. Or if you're a human, or rather, if you start off as a spaceship vehicle, the API doesn't let you create your own weapons yet, nor does it let you put, no, it does let you to multiple shoot points. Anyway, that's the kind of stuff I'm going to start thinking through. I'm going to do it in real time because certain folks I've talked to, they want to see more technical stuff so they understand, like, hey, when I release this zone editor, how do I build a zone? So I think it'll be helpful to have these videos showing me building the zone, and then you can take those and they can kind of be your lessons learned as we go forward. So I think it'll be pretty cool. Before I sign off here, I did want to show you one other thing that I worked on that's kind of related to this. And so usually what I've been showing is, editing the scene file itself for your zone. So like, right, so here's the desert assault zone. Here's its scene file. I can change and move things around in 3D. I've shown you guys what the code is, right? What I haven't talked much about is that behind the scenes, we've kind of talked about, let me go to the export folder. We've talked about all the different things that run the game. You have your load balancer, you have the chat server, the store server, the actual server itself, and all of these have XML files that need to be maintained. And so what I recently created, so I've done, this is the second version of it, but I'm pretty happy with this, a zone editor. And so instead of forcing you to have to go and, where did I put these? Create all these XML files and know how to manage them, I now have a custom editor that can read in all the different configuration file types. So here's the chat config, here's the load balancer config, here's the server config, here's the store config, and lastly, here's the zone config file, which is significantly bigger. And it lets you edit it in this place as opposed to like having to go into something like, where is it? I'm moving something over, I promise. Notepad++, which isn't bad because I like how it color codes things and makes it a little easier. But the problem is there's not a lot of, like, I can't really put documentation with this. It's got to be a totally separate file. But in this now, I have the ability to give individual fields documentation. So as you start typing things in, you now get a little tooltip. And the other more important part is you can verify the files. So if you select all the files you want to verify, it's going to check and make sure the ports are aligned. It's going to make sure the zone keys are the same. And then going forward, as I add new things, I'll add more verification thing. This is all just to make sure that as you update your config files, you have everything correct. And so now that this is done, it took me a while to get this right. I feel like I'm at a state where I can release the zone editor, um, which is why like my last foray into that is simply creating a zone. I'll do it literally from scratch. I'm going to copy over Desert Assault. I'm going to take all the extra stuff out. So that way it's just like a bare bones zone, just like you'll have when you download the game. And then I'll find a cool pack. I like this one. I just don't know what that license is. I have to read about it. I'll find a cool spaceship pack and we'll create it. And then in real time, I'll add stuff to the API. If it's something complicated, I'll probably jump out of the video, add it, come back in, um, and you'll have a good set of like tutorials of how to create your own zone. So I think it'll be pretty cool. Expect those videos in the next few months. That does also mean that there won't be as much game content coming out in the next few months, simply because I'm going to be focused on those videos in the new zone. But I think the new zone will be pretty fun. So that's all I got for you guys. Sorry for this long video. And sorry, thanks for bearing with me with my coughing and raspy voice. Hopefully I'm feeling better by the next time I create these videos. All right, catch you later. Oh, one last thing. Join me on Discord, especially if you want to get in on the game and give me some good feedback. Discord's the best way to do it. All right, see you guys.